Well, it's Winter Prime, the evening edition, and the two women you see there competing in the two-woman bobsleigh. Well, I tell you what, if Jamaica has their way, then Audrey Segree won't be here inside our studios analyzing the Winter Olympics with me, but she'll be in Beijing, China, competing for glory for herself, her teammates, and her beloved country. Yes, that's right. The Jamaicans have launched an appeal with the Court of Arbitration for Sport, CAS, appealing the decision by the International Bobsleigh and Skeleton Federation to award France that coveted place to the Winter Olympics on a tiebreak at the expense of the Jamaicans. The Jamaicans have cried foul, saying no fear, say the decision was tinged with bias towards European nations, and they've turned to the international mediators for justice, looking to get themselves put on the competitors list for the two-woman bob. Well, that's a good way to greet you on this evening, welcoming you to Winter Prime, the evening edition. My name is George Davis. Audrey Segree is in studio with me, and across the Caribbean Sea is my friend, my pal, top man in the Caribbean, Anil Roberts. Audrey, I come to you first, obviously, to talk about the fact of the appeal filed with the Court of Arbitration for Sport, and the state that you are in as you await the ruling from CAS.
So we had the hearing this morning. I was a witness for Jazz, so I had to give my statement on the whole issue at hand. And after the entire hearing, I'm still hopeful. I'm praying that it goes in our favor, because we did have a good story, and we're just hoping and praying for the best. So tomorrow we'll hear what's the verdict.
So the fact that the verdict hasn't been handed out yet means that there are some things I won't ask, but just broadly speaking, for those who came in late, what's essentially the issue at hand?
So at hand there is two issues that we have with the, I want to put this out there, is not against the French team, it's with IBSF. So first thing I would say, there was a tie. They only bring one person, one team that was tied. You would think that they would bring both teams because it was a tie. Like, how do you go about a tie?
Picking one of the two that tied,
Exactly, and it's same point, same everything. So that was one of the issues. The other issue was December the 4th, there was a race in Winterberg, Europe, on the Europa Cup. The race was complete. Then they had another race, the 5th. However, due to weather conditions, the race was cancelled. The IBSF just award points based on the race before, which, in my opinion, should have not happened. Because on our circuit, we had some issues getting the sled to Park City from Canada, Whistler. The jury made the decision to have the two races on one day, one in the morning, one in the evening. I say that to say this: they could have done something else for that race. You understand? Instead of just person show up good today, they won't show up good tomorrow. You cannot say, oh, they're going to do the same thing, get the same result the next day. That didn't sit well with us either, because that's like getting 3 points, or 3 points, I would say, in my opinion. So that caused the tie also, because if, say for instance, she had raced and she placed, she was placed down the ranking, we wouldn't tie. So we would get the go ahead. But it's not against the team, it's against the IBSF and how they went about it.
And so for some people are asking to say, well, okay, we're 3 days deep into the official Olympic Games. You know that there was action before the opening ceremony. And Audrey gave evidence in the appeal today. Why is it that the appeal was not filed before?
So, all right. The deadline for the Olympics qualification was January the 16th of this year. However, there's also like a time period, I think it was to the 16th, from the 16th to the 20th, to see if any nations didn't take up their quota spot.
Okay, right.
So we would get that. You understand? That didn't happen. We reached out to IBSF the 20th via email, asking them how can we go about, you know, getting clarity on what to do, how to go about it. No reply. We sent another email again the 22nd and the 23rd, same about, you know, how to go about what we should do. No replied. I think Jasmine sent out, and
that's Fenlater Victorian.
Yeah, Jasmine Fenlater Victorian. She sent out something to IBSF. I don't want to say the wrong thing, but she sent out something and they dismissed it, saying, no, they give a lot of excusing why we didn't race, why we didn't go to Europe, all of that stuff, without having a hearing.
Yes.
That's why we went ahead and go to CAS. And our lawyers told us that, yes, you guys do have a good job. They asked, I don't know if I can say what one of the questions that they asked me this morning, but, you know, based on our arguments,
yes,
IBSF is at fault.
Your lawyer is European-based or based in Jamaica?
Is Europe-based.
European-based,
Or
right.
American-based.
There you go.
Yeah.
So okay, so it wasn't a case where you filed late. You were waiting on the process to open up. So you had to wait to see if any of the places that were qualified for whatever, all those places were taken up, the quota places were taken up.
Yes.
Then only after that could you then check to say, okay, well, we were in a tie and we were not picked, and the process to pick somebody over us who we were tied with, we don't think that's fair. What do we do?
Yes.
And based on the fact that the IBSF, their response was protracted.
Yes.
And then when they finally responded, you didn't like their explanation.
No.
You weren't satisfied with it.
No.
You decided to take it further.
Yes.
There you go. So,
Yes.
so viewers, you are clear on why, because I know some people are saying, so why did they take so long to appeal? It wasn't that it took long. You just had to follow the process.
Yeah. They also asked that question also.
Yes.
The IBSF, that is. They
Yes.
asked that question, why did we wait so long? And one of the things that they said was, what was it? Shoot, it's in my mind.
Yeah.
I don't remember.
Yeah.
But they were saying, shoot, it's something important and I'm not remembering.
Let's hope you can remember. But so this morning when you gave your evidence via Zoom, how many other people gave evidence in the hearing?
It was just me as a witness and another person, Sarah. She's from Canada.
Yes.
There was a complaint that filed by Canadian. That's the lady, Sarah Stones, I think.
Yeah.
She filed a complaint. She filed a complaint December the 19th about the double points.
Yes.
This was way before it affected us.
Yes.
So we put that into the witness.
So to break that down, she complained about something that the Jamaicans later complained about.
Yes.
There you go.
And it was before it affected us.
So you use that to support your argument. To say,
Yes.
well, this is not a fresh complaint just being raised by us only,
Yes.
because see, that other person from another team
From
also
December.
complained about the same thing.
From December the 19th.
Yes.
Yes. So we had a good argument, I would say. I'm proud of the team. I'm proud of what we did. So we're just waiting.
Here you go. All right. So you heard the Jamaicans are now waiting to hear what the Court of Arbitration for Sport will rule insofar as their appeal against the decision of the IBSF, that's the International Bobsleigh and the Skeleton Federation, the decision to award France a qualifying place from the two-woman bobsleigh instead of Jamaica. And the reason why that is a topic of discussion and contention, the French and the Jamaicans finished tied in terms of the qualifying points, but France were chosen. The Jamaicans not happy with the decision to break the tie-break, the method used to break the tie-break, saying that, well, we don't know whether or not that was the best way to do it, and it may have been a random pick, and why would you pick the European team over us? On what basis were France selected? Essentially the argument that the Jamaicans and their attorney their attorneys are making. So we wait to see what happens. And you expect a ruling by Monday?
Tomorrow, yes.
By Monday. All right. So that's what is at play here. And we certainly wish the Jamaicans all the very best. If all goes well, Audrey won't be here anymore. She'll be over there in Beijing, and we'll be asking someone to analyze what she is doing in Beijing rather than having her talk about the athletes over there. Now, we take a break here on Winter Prime, the evening edition. Back with more. Zealander Zoe Sadowski-Synnott, 92.88 on her final run on a very challenging course in the slopestyle event. She put in a performance that was good enough for gold in this contest as I introduce Chris Taylor to the discussion and once again hail the man, Anil Roberts over there in Trinidad and Tobago. Anil, you've been on the bench warming. Chris has just entered the fray. He's already here. Anil, this New Zealander turned on the style. The course very, very challenging. The conditions very tough for these winter athletes. You can't be a champion at these winter games if you don't have a certain amount of gumption about you, Anil Roberts. And this woman showed that she has gumption in spades.
She has gumption, and let me just dip back into the last topic. As administrators in a sport that has been Eurocentric, we have to be on top of our game. We have to know the rule book inside out. We should have been on top of it from the first time on December 7th when points were awarded and we could go to the competition. Back in 2004, George Bovell got disqualified in the 100 meters freestyle, and not since 1896 in the world of swimming no coach had ever gotten a disqualification overturned. But because of my knowledge of the rule book, I understood that you could not contest a position of fact. They said he false started, so you can't say, well, he did not. You have to get into how they wrote it on the piece of paper. What did they write? And I saw the paper and they wrote, he false started. And I said, no, bring the 300 Swiss francs, we're going to appeal. Because a false start could be a clinch, it could be a moving before the block, he could have left before the start signal, he could have shaken. There was insufficient information on the disqualification card. And for the first time in the history of the Olympics, a swimmer was reinstated into the semi-final of the 100-meter freestyle. 2 days later, Aaron Pearsall had won gold, and the Americans used my same argument after he had been disqualified to get it back. So I wish the Jamaicans best, but we as managers must be on top of our game. And as administrators, we must remember, when Jack Warner got into football, the Caribbean and Africa and the world got prominence and we got positions to qualify. So let's get to the slope style. What a fantastic competition. It's really my first time watching Olympics slope style. It is so creative, it is so brilliant. And the camaraderie of the athletes was tremendous. The top 12 girls, I mean, they all were hugging the New Zealand girl when she won, even though they beat her. I've never seen that in Olympic sports before. But the New Zealand girl, she was the favorite, Sadowski. And Zoe Sadowski, when she came down on her third jump, the air that she got, Chris Taylor, was just amazing. We had seen some girls get in the air but not twisting fast enough. And she got so high up. She got so much hang time. It almost looked like it was the big air competition. When she was coming down, I did not think she could land it. And she landed it with perfection. And you could not write a story better. It was like a fairy tale. Gold for New Zealand.
Well, brilliant performance by the New Zealander, Chris, and I felt, watching parts of that, I almost felt like I was transported into an indoor arena and I was watching the X Games, but this was just the X Games on ice.
Yeah, and that's a great analogy, George, as well. I said highly technical, very skilled, and to think that she's just 20 years of age and she's been around so long, she's experienced so much. As I said, 2 World Champs gold medals, 4 Winter X gold medals, 2 in 2022. So I mean, she's had an amazing year. Born of an Australian father, a New Zealand father, sorry, a US mother, but yet born in Australia. Amazing. Decided to compete for New Zealand, and her achievements, I mean, magnificent. The first ever gold medal for New Zealand. What an achievement. And to think that she's only 20 years of age, and so much under her belt.
Yeah, absolutely. The future is bright. Let's move along, gentlemen, and talk about the Russian Alexander Bolshinov, because we closed last night's broadcast, the evening edition of Winter Prime on Sunday, with Anil Roberts putting his perspective on the table regarding doping and cheaters in sport, and the fact that, as far as he's concerned, he doesn't ever want to see see any athlete after an infraction. Here's a man who, because of where he's from, Russia, not representing Russia, of course, at these games, but competing under the Russian Federation's aegis. No Russian flags allowed at these games because of the ban. But the moment he crossed but the moment that the Russians win anything, people are going to put the issue to them: doping, doping, doping. And perhaps it is that it's unfair. Perhaps it is that it's unfair, Anil, that after you compete the 30-kilometer skiathlon, yeah? 30 kilometers skiathlon, you go through all of that stress, you put your body through the pain, you beat your rivals by 71 seconds, you decimate the field in an event usually decided by inches. Usually decided by inches. You blow the competition apart. You come across the finish line. The first question you get from a reporter is about doping. I know your position, Anil Roberts. Is it fair to the athlete who has put in this kind of performance, has won this gold medal, to be confronted with this issue so soon after the triumph?
Well, it is very unfortunate, and life is not fair. But when you see that in the social media, of Russia would create a special room and put their KGB to design a tool that could unlock the sealed open containers, and a whistleblower blew the lid off of the entire cheating. It's unfortunate that their leaders chose to do that. So I feel no sympathy. I have no empathy. If you go back to 1972, you will remember the East Germans. Cornelia Ender in the swimming pool won 7 gold medals. There was a girl from America called Shirley Babashoff who got 6 silver and 1 gold. Had she been in a clean Olympics, she would have been the female Mark Spitz. Y'all probably never even heard the name Shirley Babashoff. But Cornelia Ender was part of that East German team that the government had a secret doping program, as secret as their nuclear program, to present an ideal to the world that the communism and the authoritarianism was superior to democracy. And cheating is cheating. They then went in, after the wall came down in 1989, these doctors went into China, and China went with systematic cheating in swimming in the World Championships in 1994. In Italy, they won 12 out of 13 gold medals. So it is unfortunate for an individual, because I can't cast aspersion on any individual. But you have to remember, doping doesn't help you in the competition. It helps you while you prepare. So when they come and they tell you, oh, I've been tested 3,000 times like Lance Armstrong, when we are competing, we are not utilizing drugs. Drugs and steroids and growth hormone, EPO, they help you recover so you can train harder than a normal human being. It's cheating, it's disgusting, it's unfortunate for those who don't cheat. But so be it.
Yeah, Chris, let me hear from you on this, because I'm agreeing with a lot of what Anil says, and Anil's principle. I'm really very much in lockstep with him. But I just think in this case for Bolshinov, it's rather unfortunate that after a competition that almost feels like a life and death mission, minus 17 degrees Celsius, the wind chill makes it feel like minus 35, and you win a competition, blowing your rivals out of the water, to be confronted by a question that is tinged with doping at the base.
Yeah, unfortunate. And one thing that goes for Bolshinov, he has been the most consistent man in this event. So if it was a case of doping, chances are it would have come up a long time ago. This man has medaled in every event he's ever competed in. So there's a level of consistency. This is a 13-time world medalist. Yes, the gold medal has eluded him quite a bit, and he, out of those 13, this is just his 2nd gold medal in the same event. However, as you said, this man has shown consistency over a period of time. So if there was a case of doping, I'm sure that it would have come up before, because his performances have shown over a period of time that he's a man of quality. Yeah. Only 25 years of age, but his quality has been around for quite some time now. It's just that, as you said, the 71-second victory, one of the biggest margins of victory. And that's actually what put on blinkers for a lot of people. But his quality, I think, should never be doubted. And the fact that he's been so consistent over a long period, you know, I think will be something that goes heavily against him.
All right, let's talk about another man at another scale, another stage of his career. He's going to be 36 years old in 8 days, Johannes Ludwig, the German. And he put on a show in the Luge that was good enough for gold. The oldest man to win gold, a man who has been through a lot, many disappointments in his career. And a golden old he is, Chris Taylor, and he comes up trumps.
Yeah. And let me tell you, George, this is not an event I would be entertaining at all. Getting up to speeds of 96 miles per hour. I mean, that's amazing in terms of thinking that you're going through like that with a 50-pound sled. But yes, his quality, amazing. Has struggled to win championships, especially in the singles event. Has done well in the team event, 12-time world medalist. And as you said, a shade under 36. He'll actually be 36 on Valentine's Day. So an early present here.
Yeah,
but yeah. Great for him.
Yeah, Anil, I'll get your thoughts on this on the other side. We have to take the break now. This is Winter Prime, the evening edition, talking about a lot of things so far. The Jamaicans watching the clock now to see whether the Court of Arbitration for Sport will rule in their favor insofar as that appeal against the decision by the IBSF to award France a place in the two-woman bobsled at the expense of the Jamaicans. The Jamaicans appealed and are awaiting CAS's ruling on Monday morning. Stay tuned for more of that. Back with us on Winter Prime, the evening edition, as we're covering the Beijing Winter Games. Anil Roberts is over there in Trinidad and Tobago. Chris Taylor is here with me, and earlier on the show I had the pleasure of speaking with Audra Sigri, one member of Jamaica's two-woman bobsled team. Audra is waiting on a decision from the Court of Arbitration for Sport to determine whether or not she'll be competing in Beijing in a couple of days, because they've appealed against the decision by the IBSF, that's the International Bobsleigh and Skeleton Federation, to award France the last qualifying place to the event at the expense of the Jamaicans, despite both teams finishing tied on points from their qualification rounds. Anil, before we went to the break, we were talking about Johannes Ludwig, the 36-year-old German who has landed gold in Luge. Sport is increasing. Well, sport has always been a young person's game, a young person's pursuit. It's the celebration of youth. It's where youth puts all that is wonderful about being young together and makes for a tremendous achievement and tremendous performances in the pursuit of medals, in the pursuit of glory. But here's a young man, an older man rather, hanging on to the dying light, Anil, and it's a good story at 36 years old. Probably his last Olympics and probably his last run as a competitive luge competitor, and he lands gold. It's quite a brilliant story.
It is amazing, and it's Luge. And I heard what Chris said, at 96 miles per hour, you could lose your life at that speed with that little thing. But the sport is technical. So you can do this when you're older, because you don't need the explosive anaerobic capacity of a young 22, 23-year-old to get you. It's the technical ability. It's the luge itself, how you balance, how you maintain your abdominal strength, how you guide, what sort of track you take, what sort of lane you take, how you take the corners that generate speed. So it has less to do with your physiological output than your experience. It's more like golf. You see, when you're talking about performance-enhancing drugs, you see them work more in the sports that are more physical, more physiological. The more technical sports like tennis or golf, the doping does not help you, because if you don't have the skill, you can't play the game. If we want to have clean, there's only one way to do it. It's out of competition testing. For the top 20 in every event for 6 months leading up to an Olympics, you must be tested and you must create a graph of your biometric prescriptions, and that's the only way. Because by the time we come to compete, everybody is as clean as a whistle. Some of the drugs that they're taking have a half-life of 12 hours. But this man, Ludwig, at 36 years old next week, was just amazing. I don't know how you have the courage and the ability to take that inertia. You have to control the heart rate and the speeds that you're going. Sometimes if you go too fast, you will lose control. You will panic. And one motion on that luge will slow you down. So congratulations. It was great. His time was 57.191, and he won by a mile because he beat the second place by 57.3. That was the Austrian Wolfgang Kindler.
But here's the thing. I hear you on your treatise about the experience that comes with advanced age, but there is a certain devil-may-care attitude that only a youngster has that proves advantageous in events like these. And yeah, you can't beat the fact that sports really for youngsters, saplings. And when you see an experienced campaigner getting it together for one great achievement as Ludwig has done, you really have to doff your cap to him. Let's talk about somebody else. Let's talk about Jakara Anthony, who has done so very well in her event. And yeah, Moguls, 23 years old. We talk about a New Zealander. Let's talk about someone from another Antipodian nation. Let's look at what the Aussie did. Chris, we spoke last evening about, well, Anil also addressed it, that if you want to blow your knees out voluntarily, you do the Moguls, because it's the surest way to ensure that, yeah, you have no use for your knees for the rest of your life. But this was technical excellence from the Aussie. The speed good, always in control of her body. And yeah, this was the gold medal run. It was a run worthy of that achievement.
Yeah, and an event that certainly you would want to see youth participating in. The strain on the abdominal muscles, as I said, the pressure on the knees. 23 years of age, 12-year gold medal drought broken by Australia. Excellent stuff. First gold medal in the Olympics won by Jakara. And I mean, wonderful performance. As I said, she was off the podium in 2018, came fourth, and has come back with a bang. In the World Championships, I mean, double medalist there, and really has been going from strength to strength from there. So excellent to see from her standpoint. And as again, 23 years of age, and look at the amount of experience already.
Yeah, yes, indeed. And then just before we leave the viewers, let's talk about a youngster. And again, we're celebrating youth here, Anil. You were a young man once. You're still a young man. You achieved many things as a young man. And at this stage of the game, you still have more shots to fire. The 15-year-old Russian, Kamila Valieva, a multiple record holder, 9 world records to her name already, the reigning European champion, and she pulled off a triple axel in her event. The commentators are saying she is already one of the best they've ever seen. She says, Anil, that at some point in her life, she wants to devote her energies to a career in psychology. She has the world of figure skating at her feet, literally.
Well, if you see her, you will say that she is the Usain Bolt once she lives up to her potential over the next 20 years. She is the Usain Bolt of figure skating. Normally, you will see a compact young lady so that they can do the triple axel. They don't have to take so long to turn. But for this tall, she is very tall for a skater, an ice skater. You see gymnasts, when you go to the Olympic Village and you see a volleyball player stand up next to a gymnast, the gymnasts are below 5 feet tall. Normally, ice skaters, low center of gravity, you are small and powerful and compact. She is long and elegant, yet has the grace and the ability to control her body, do some miraculous turns and twists because of her core strength, her agility, and her flexibility. If she continues on this path, she will rewrite the record books because she is a phenom, just like Usain Bolt. They never believed a tall man could get down in a blocks and get up within 9.5 seconds to get up to top speed. He did it, and he's the world's greatest. This is what we're seeing in this young lady.
Yeah, Chris Taylor, since 1988 was the first time a woman did a triple axel in competition. The Japanese skater Midori did it. And to show you how difficult that is, since that performance in 1988, only 12 times has a woman done a triple axel in competition. And this 15-year-old phenom dropped that at these Olympics already. She's more than something special, isn't she?
She's amazing, and Anil spoke about it, changing the record, but she has already done that. And you have to think about the performances. She has won everything in figure skating at the junior level and at the senior level, gold in everything that she has competed in. It's just amazing. She has this performance here was the second highest points tally ever. She owns the first, the best. She did it a month ago. So just the fact that she can hold 3 world records at 15, the short program, the long program, the free skating, and the total points tally, world records in all 3 at 15 years of age. And as you said, a lot of the commentators, even former Olympians, have said she is the best they have ever seen. They're not saying she will be. She is the best they have ever seen, and they have been at the highest level. So amazing performances, as you said. No doubt that she would win gold, barring injury or some form of mistake, which looks like it's not in her repertoire at all. She doesn't make mistakes.
Yeah, in horse racing, when the favorite is traveling strongly, you'll say it will take an act of God to stop this one now. It's going to take something of biblical proportions for this 15-year-old to not land gold in this event. Gentlemen, that's all the time we have. I want to say thank you to Anil Roberts for speaking with us this evening, as per usual. Grateful, my friend, for your wisdom and your expertise. Thank you as well for your insight and your analysis, Chris. And thanks, of course, to Ultra Agree, who was with me in that first segment. And thanks to you for watching our coverage of the Winter Games from Beijing. Much, much more. Winter Prime in the morning and Winter Prime in the evening for the rest of these Olympic Games. And we're bringing the action in between to you live and direct on your mobile devices, on your traditional television sets, or whichever way you get your information. SportsMax will be there, the home of champions, to give you the best coverage of the Winter Games.